Hey, so today is October the 2nd, and we are continuing on the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. What I figured that I would do is today talk about what is domestic violence and give you some terms that are used in domestic violence. And then over the next couple of days, share some articles from domestic violence resources that are online. And then I will be talking about the abusers themselves and some of the tactics that they use and kind of what makes them tick, what makes them be the way that they are. Share some information about that through articles and such, and then we'll talk about victims and the social stigma that surrounds the victims and what is going through their heads during the abuse, before, after, everything that involves the victims. And then I will be sharing some of the resources, books that I've read, articles, some websites that are local and some that are national. So what is domestic violence? Domestic violence is a pattern, okay? It's a pattern of actions through coercion. They use intimidation, they use threats, and they use physical violence. Some domestic violence is covert, which means it's kind of undercover. It's not blatant domestic violence or abuse. And then there's the overt, which means it's pretty much over the top. It's out there. You can see it, you can hear it, you can feel it. And there's essentially 4 different kinds of abuse that occurs. And every state is going to have different laws and different terminologies that they use in their domestic violence laws. But what normally happens is it begins with a verbal and emotional abuse. That includes the belittling. They belittle you, they demean you. It's the name calling. They're going to, call you stupid, or you're not very smart, or you're not very pretty, or it's the belittling and the name calling. It's telling you that you don't keep a clean house, or you don't do this, or you don't do that. So they're wanting you to feel bad about yourself. There's the psychological abuse. The psychological abuse can be pretty intense, and what they're doing is they're trying to control your reality. They have their reality, you have your reality, and you may know that something has occurred. You know that they said something, or you know that they did something, and you confront them on that, and they want you to believe, no, I didn't do that. No, I didn't say that. No, that's not the way it happened. They're going to minimize whatever they said or whatever they did. They do not want to take any kind of blame. They do not want to take any kind of responsibility. There's a term called gaslighting, and it's based on a movie back in the 1930s. But it is essentially about a husband and a wife, and there's the lights. It's a gas light, and so he's controlling the gas light, turning it up high and turning it down low. And she believes that there's somebody in the house, and he's telling her no, there's nobody in the house, but he's doing it. So he's trying to change her reality to make her think that she's crazy. And it's a big story about he's actually trying to steal the riches that are buried in the house. So he's trying to get her committed, her to think that she's crazy, other people to think that she's crazy, so that she can be committed and he can steal the jewels and treasure that's inside the house. So that's the gaslighting, and that's what it is. It's controlling another person's reality, making them think that they're crazy, and they'll tell you, you're crazy, and you're not. You're typically reacting to what they're doing and what they're saying, which is a normal reaction. Of course, there's the economic abuse. And economic abuse, financial abuse, they control the finances, or they won't allow somebody to work. They only let them work certain hours. They only let them, they give them an allowance. I worked with victims that their husbands gave them, $100 and 45 minutes to get to a grocery store, spend that $100 and get back. They checked mileage on the cars. They would drive them themselves, whatever, they controlled everything surrounding the finances. They may not work. The victims may be the ones that are working, and they take the paycheck and they control those finances. There's the sexual abuse, the sexual assaults, the sexual intimidation, everything that surrounds the intimate part of relationships. And of course, there's the physical violence. The physical violence, most people are wanting to say that it's punching, it's slapping, but physical violence is also intimidation. So if they're standing over you, if they're trapping you in rooms, not allowing you to leave a room, that's physical violence, okay? Because they're controlling your movements. But it's slapping, it's pinching, it's pushing. If they lay their hands on you in any type of way that intimidates you or puts fear in you, then that is physical abuse. The intimidation part. So if you're standing and they punch the wall behind your head, that's physical abuse, okay? Because it's putting you in danger. If they're throwing items, trashing the house, breaking items around you, that is all considered physical abuse because it's putting you in fear of physical harm, okay? And like I said, a lot of the laws in different states do vary. But domestic violence is not just between a husband and a wife or a boyfriend and a girlfriend. It also includes siblings. It includes parents and children. It includes anybody that you have dated in the past. And this is typically in the state of Tennessee, okay? People that you've dated in the past. It includes people that you have had a sexual relationship with but have not had a relationship, okay? You've had intercourse, but you have not had a relationship that's blossomed outside of the sexual relationship. So it includes a lot of people. And what people don't understand is that how important it is to know what you're going through, document what you're going through. Domestic violence can ruin your lives, okay? But those are some of the terminologies that are used in domestic violence. There's orders of protection that you can get for domestic violence, and there's different types depending on the state that you live in. Here in Tennessee, you can get the initial order of protection is a no contact, so there's absolutely no contact between either party. The offender, the respondent, is the one that would violate if they contact the victim in any way, the petitioner. You would go to court. There's like a 10-day period. You would go to court, and at that point you can either ask for a no contact or a social contact. And social contact, people can actually live together. They can still raise their children together, and the violation occurs when any threats or acts of violence occur. You can, talk to legal aid about any help that you might need with getting an order of protection, but normally you can go to the Justice Center, talk to a police officer, and they can inform you of how to get an order of protection. You can get an order of protection for stalking in the state of Tennessee. So even if you don't know the person, you've never had a relationship with them, if they are stalking you, which is a pattern of unsolicited contact over a period of time, you can get an order of protection for stalking. Once again, you can talk to legal aid about that. The courthouse cannot answer any of your questions. They are not allowed to answer any kind of legal questions whatsoever. So you can't call the courthouse and ask questions about orders of protection. So where you need to contact the legal aid, or you can contact the sheriff's office and ask for the domestic violence unit and speak with someone there. You can talk to Haven House is a great resource that is local here. You do what you need to do to find out the information that you need. So other than that, I mean, domestic violence is a gamut. You can, like I said, it's covert, overt, it's over the top, it's very subtle. There's all kinds of ways that somebody can use domestic violence to control another person, and that's what domestic violence is. It's about power and control. One person wanting power and control over another person, and they do that in the different ways that I've talked about: verbal, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, economic abuse, sexual abuse, and then the physical contact. Intimidation, I would say, is probably one of the biggest ones, the threats that they commit. So if there's ever a time that you have a question about domestic violence, like I said, Haven House is a really great resource that is local. They have a 24-hour hotline that you can call and ask questions. The law enforcement here, they're really good about answering questions. So you just reach out to somebody to find out the information that you need. I will do what I can. If you want to ask questions in the comments below, if you want to send me a private message and ask me a question, then I'll be happy to try to answer you. Once again, I am not in law enforcement. I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. These are based on my former profession of being in law enforcement and my personal experience, and just my passion for learning as much as I can. And so I read a lot, and I study a lot. So, but I hope that this is helping somebody. And if you have any kind of suggestions for this month that you would like to hear about, then please give me a shout. Okay, so God bless each and every one of you.